Where do the reports come from? Did you get an initial?
One PodVader.
That's football.
Every angle of the NFL covered.
All that kind of stuff, I get it.
This,
no question about it,
is Next Fan Up.
We're going to unleash hell here in December.
Hello and welcome to the Thursday Night Football Preview edition of the Next Fan Up podcast. Hey everybody, PodVader here. And while I normally would like to just say I'm here to just give you the business end of things, I'm actually here to help out our good friend Monty, the Las Vegas Raiders superfan. Hello, Monty.
Good afternoon, sir. How you doing, PodVader?
I'm doing just fine. The Las Vegas Raiders are hosting the Los Angeles Chargers at the Roomba. I refuse to call it the Death Star. How dare anyone insult me by calling it such? Raiders do not deserve such a cool title at this particular point in time.
I don't think they can give it a nickname at this point because, as my count, I think they're 2-4 playing in Vegas. So until they start getting some crowd noise and a home field advantage, I don't know if we should give it any kind of a nickname. It's the Allegiant Stadium.
Now, before we continue, just to peel back the curtain, everyone, Monty is signed in as Quiet Sober Monty, but I believe I just heard you crack open a nice, delicious adult beverage.
You've got a hell of an ear there, Pod. I went to the fridge. All I could find was a light beer scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Raiders were moving along fine. They're actually pretty high in the consensus power rankings done by the super fans of Next Fan Up. And then they had a game against the Kansas City Chiefs in which they lost only by 4 points. And everyone went, oh, look at the cute little Raiders. They're doing so well. They're so good. And even though they lost, we still believe in them. And then you really went and you crapped the bed. You lost big time to the Atlanta Falcons. You only beat the Jets because of a boneheaded play at the end of regulation. And then you lose to the Colts. What in the world is going on?
I got no explanation for that Falcons game. That was a complete fall off the rails sort of a game, creeping in over the last 3 games. But I don't know. I think the Colts team is pretty good. I'm not going to feel too poorly about that, taking the L for that game. I think that the Colts are going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
But you haven't broken 30 since that Kansas City game either.
Yeah. Think that the Josh Jacobs is kind of the baller on our team, and he's been a little banged up. We've been missing a few people on the offensive line, so the rushing game hasn't been all that effective. And then, you throw in the occasional Nelson Aguilar drop, and you can only feed the ball to Darren Waller so many times before the other defenses start paying attention and trying to take him out of the game. So I don't know. Feels a lot like last year, Pod. You probably don't remember. The Raiders were 6-4. Nice little story for John Gruden and Mike Mayock. And then the wheels fell off. They finished 7-9. And I'll be damned if they aren't on the exact same trajectory right now.
These two teams met earlier this season in Week 9. That was before the cute little Raiders against the Chiefs game. 31-26 was the final score there. Justin Herbert still strengthening in his powers. I'd probably say that's the height of the Raiders' powers at that particular point in time.
Yeah, and I appreciate you stepping in here for Ken. I've been trying to get him to jump on here all week. I was going to make a bet that the loser had to get the post Herbert haircut. When he cut off all his hair and started losing his powers. That was going to be the loser's challenge, but Ken knew better than to take that bet, so he's been ducking me all week.
And I already have that haircut, so it's not gonna work for me. Not that I would take the Chargers, or maybe I would. I don't know. Let's find out. Because the Chargers, frankly, haven't been playing all that well lately either. Both teams are 2-3 in their last 5. I already mentioned your last few games. The Chargers here just barely beat the Falcons 20-17 last week. It was sort of like the feel-good story. The Chargers finally won, but the last 2 minutes of the game was good, bad, good, bad, good. It wasn't a pretty ending to the way that the Chargers ended up winning that game. And the previous week, they got blown out by my team that's good one week, bad the next, in a 45-0 blowout. I don't know how much your team studies other teams and the way that they beat them, but I'm guessing that you're hoping your team's doing some studying of that 45-0 blowout.
I don't know if you've had a chance to sneak a peek at the injury report, but Mike Williams left that game last week. He hurt his back. I don't know if he's going to play or not. Keenan Allen kind of came up lame with a hamstring, but he went back into the game. And when those two guys kind of got banged up, it became a dink and dunk show to Austin Eckler. Not that the Raiders defense is going to be able to do much about it. I'm just saying that you take an all-pro caliber wide receiver like Keenan Allen and you hobble him up a little bit, definitely going to help and play into the Raiders' advantage a little bit. But I expect Austin Eckler is going to make a lot of fantasy football managers very happy this weekend. And then the other side of the ball, my Raiders are all on concussion protocol or out of the game. I mean, they're signing people off the practice squad and starting them in the defensive backfield. It's going to be a ugly Thursday night football game that people are going to get on Twitter and rail against. Why do we have games on Thursday? This is awful. What a terrible product. And I'm hoping that my team has the ball last and they get the game-winning score at the end of the game.
You guys are closing out Thursday night football, so you should feel happy about that. You are the final Thursday night football game of the 2020 season.
It's always fun when your team's on a primetime game, nothing else going on. Check it out. The whole world will be, watching the Raiders, enjoying a little Vegas Al Davis Memorial Torch action. It should be fun.
So as I'm looking at your stats, and as I joked, a box score will tell you everything you need to know. And that is a joke. You've managed to average 26.9 points per game, but have allowed 30.1 points per game. What is it about what does your defense need to do in this one besides allow less points than what your offense scores? How does your defense slow down the Chargers offense?
This defense, like I said, they're cobbling it together with duct tape and bubble gum, a lot of injuries, but what they need to do is get the hell off the field on third downs. I have a little bit hopeful this year that they're going to show a little bit of improvement, but they're giving up 3rd and 15s on like a draw that anyone should be able to stop. They're just out of position. The defensive backs are just not in the right place to make a play on a 3rd and 15 when you should be getting the ball back. I mean, I watched that game against the Colts just because I wanted to see why Gunther got fired. Going into the fourth quarter, it was 27-20, and the Raiders were driving. I mean, they were in the game up until the fourth quarter before the wheels fell off. And I look at this defense, and sometimes it's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes. When they're calling off people's names like Eric Harris and Nevin Lawson, who are just getting torched for 20, 30-yard gushing plays, I don't know what they're going to be able to do to scheme it. I don't know if firing Gunther and listening to old man Rod Marinelli shout at them on Zoom calls is going to give them a spark to get fired up. But, we'll know a lot more on the last injury report that comes out to see who's going to play. But Cleve Farrell is going to be out. Nicholas Morrow's in the concussion protocol. Jonathan Abraham got a concussion, left the game. Damon Arnett got a concussion, left the game. This defense is going to have their hands full. The only thing I can hope for is they got a little bit of film on Herbert, like you said, and see what he's doing poorly, and they can kind of trick him pre-snap and get him to go in the wrong direction with the ball and make just enough plays so that they can keep it close and the Raiders can have their offense on the field at the end of the game. That's what needs to happen for this game to go the way it should.
Flipping the script, I do think that the Vegas offense has been, I don't know if I'd call it a surprise. It's a little surprising, though. I think Derek Carr and the way that he's playing has been a bit of a surprise. And I even noted in my useless stats that I don't really have much to pull on here from the useless stats, other than Derek Carr is looking to get his 5th straight game against the Chargers without throwing an interception, and has recorded at least 315 passing yards and 2 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown in each of his past 2 games. So Derek Carr seems to be on fire, even if your team's not winning.
Yeah, I mean, Derek Carr, I think, is kind of playing the exact same. He played his best 2 games he's ever played against Kansas City this year, and I think a lot of people kind of took that and put it in the back of their mind and said Derek Carr's having a better year. He's still captain check down. The one thing he's doing a little bit better this year than he hasn't done last year is he'll kind of move him around in the pocket a little bit, and if his first couple 2-3 reads aren't there, he might tuck the ball and run for 5 yards, and he hadn't done that very often in the prior years, and when he did, he always fumbled. Another fun fact, I think the Raiders lead the NFL in fumbles this year, but that's a whole other story. Derek Carr is okay. He's an average quarterback. I mean, Darren Waller is a pretty awesome tight end. The wide receivers are okay. Gruden's got some good schemes in there, getting these guys in position, but I mean, this team feels a lot like the last few years. The offense is able to move the ball. If they can punch it in, great. Settle for a field goal, they're going to be in trouble because their defense is going to give up 30 points. I feel like we've been having this conversation for a few years now.
Just to highlight a couple more things from the Charger side, Keenan Allen is looking for his 10th in a row against the Raiders with at least 5 catches. You would think you'd catch on at this point that Keenan Allen's the number 1 receiver over there.
They just don't have anyone who can stop him. I mean, they'll probably try to bracket him. The guy is really, really good. I mean, he doesn't get as much pub as some of the human specimens out there that everyone likes to talk about, but Keenan Allen is an elite wide receiver in all the years I've been watching him.
And defensive end Joey Bosa has recorded a sack in 5 out of 6 career games against the Raiders. How's your offensive line looking?
Actually, a lot better. Trent Brown played last week, and I don't think he had any setbacks. And Trent Brown, you can say he was overpaid. You can say he's making left tackle money, and he should be, and he's playing right tackle and all of the above. But when he does play and he's on the field, the Raiders' offensive line is a lot better. And Derek Carr I think he had 0 sacks last week, and I'm expecting the Raiders' offensive line to do a pretty good job against Joey Bosa. I mean, I know he's an elite pass rusher, but I mean, the Raiders' offensive line and Derek Carr's quick reads and Gruden's scheme, I'm not anticipating that to be the downfall of this team. It all kind of comes down to old man Rod Marinelli trying to confuse the rookie.
As we mentioned, Vegas has favored Vegas by 3.5 points. Since you're on here, how do you explain that one? That's a fun sentence to say. Vegas favors Vegas by 3.5.
Yeah, and everyone keeps referencing, oh, Vegas won this week. You know, that field goal really hurts Vegas. And I'm like, yeah, it does hurt Vegas. We needed to have the Browns win last night. So, it's constantly reminding me.
We needed the Browns to win last night, too. We being the Patriots, just saying.
Yeah, for sure.
The consensus picks actually are going with the Chargers in this one by 52%. Number Fire with a 50.1% likelihood that Vegas wins this game. I'm going to assume the super fan of the Las Vegas Raiders is going with the Raiders.
Whoever has the ball at the end is going to win the game, and I'm hoping it's going to be the Raiders. They're due. They need to win out and then get a lot of help. But there's very likely they're going to finish 9-7, miss the playoffs. They could even finish 10-6 and still miss the playoffs, even with the additional wild card.
Is a 10-6 record enough to miss the playoffs? I've only looked at 9-7 scenarios, but
the Ravens will have the tiebreaker against the Raiders if they both finish 10-6. So yes, sir.
That's right. But I mean, I think all hope is dashed because the Ravens have a super easy schedule.
Yeah, they should be favored in all 3. The Raiders will probably not be favored versus Miami, but they're favored this week, and they should be favored against the Broncos. So we'll see. All you can do is win your own games and see where the cards fall.
I'll see what my team can do to soften up that Dolphin team for you.
There you go. That's all I need.
We'll see what we can do. All right. So you're going with the Raiders, essentially whoever has the ball last, and you're hoping that is the Raiders is going to be the ultimate winner of this game. Do you have a score?
Yeah, I think it's going to be real ugly. I'm going to keep it, a little bit lower, like 27-24 Raiders.
I think that sounds about right. I can't even give you an early power rankings because, as I complained to James on the Tuesday podcast, I have to remind everyone to do their power rankings every week. And right now it's just me and you. I'm assuming this is you who also did their power rankings.
Yep, that is me, the gut punch.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good
I've
job.
got the Raiders as the 8th seed in the AFC, probably around 15 or 16, but they are a little bit higher than the Chargers. So,
yes. While I have the Raiders a lot lower than you at 15, I still have them higher than the Chargers.
no, I'm sorry, the 8th seed in the AFC. I think I've got them around the 15th or 16th.
Okay.
I'm saying they're going to be right on the outside looking in come playoff time.
You actually have them 16th. There you go. No, that spot is reserved for New England. New England is the 16th team. That is their spot. Everybody else is above New England, especially if they're in the playoffs.
And we're on the same page.
Right. Monty, good job. Thanks for jumping on and letting the fans know how this game is going to play out Thursday night.
Yeah, Paul Gunther got a raw deal. Hopefully he lands on his feet somewhere with some better players than what he's been able to put together out in the desert.
Awesome. Nextfanup@gmail.com to email us at NFU Podcast on Twitter, Facebook.com/NFU Podcast. Another place to continue the conversation. And we'll talk to you on Thursday with the full Week 15 slate, which includes Saturday football games. How about Saturday games, Monty? You looking forward to Saturday games?
Tis the season.
That's
Tis
right.
the season. I saw there's games scheduled on Friday of Christmas, so that means there's been an NFL game every single day of the week this year. 2020.
That is correct. Yep. Another one good thing 2020 has been good for. In a year where there's not many good things to
That
know.
brings the total to 1.
We have one good thing. All right. Monty, thanks again. Talk to you all tomorrow. There you have it.
Dear friends and colleagues, saying goodbye is never easy. I believe we can all feel proud of what we have done together, and through it all, you have maintained your professionalism and commitment and remained true to the spirit of the Charter. That principle.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.